In this episode, I'm going to be talking about time and something I call the never-ending now. That's a phrase I coined a long time ago. Maybe it's around. Maybe other people have come up with it, but I like the phrase the never-ending now. Okay, welcome back. It's an interesting thing when it comes to this being a brand new fish and chips, because I was going through a bunch of video footage, which I have so much of it from all kinds of stuff. But after my trip around America, I settled in for 2 years in Phoenix, Arizona. My reasoning being is the night sky, and it was wonderful for me. I joined astronomy clubs. I went to so many meetings. I went to, the Grand Canyon multiple times for the night sky. Had so many night meetings with astronomy clubs, and it was just a wonderful period of time for me. It was because of all the things I love. The night sky is probably the thing I love the most. And the night sky out there in Arizona is just amazing. But anyway, I was going through a bunch of video footage, and I forgot that I had this. I took a walk from my little apartment in Phoenix to a nearby restaurant that had fish and chips. So that's the video footage you're watching now, is lost video footage that's now been found. And I'm going for a little fish and chips, which is pretty good. Wasn't as good as New England fish and chips, but it was pretty good. I can't really complain, but it was nice to do that. And so there is the nature of time, I guess, is I re-experienced those fish and chips in a small way. When I discovered the video footage, I was like, oh, that's right. I shot the video for fish and chips, but I didn't do the actual fish and chips. I'm doing it now. So 3 points of contact there in the existence of time is the time I shot the video, the time I rediscovered 2 years later. I rediscovered the video and re-experienced it. And now I and you are experiencing it, me for the third time and you for the first time here on YouTube. Isn't that fun? That's the funny nature of time. So this episode of my podcast, like I said, is called The Time and the Never-Ending Now. I'm not going to really tell you anything specifically profound in this episode, but I do want to talk a little bit about time. We're living in something I call the never-ending now. It's a really strange, bizarre thing. You have your thoughts about the future. You have your memories from the past. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about that. So it's been actually, my life has been a blur the past, 5 years, 6 years even. 6 years ago, I settled on the fact that I wanted to fulfill my childhood, teenage dream of seeing America. And I bought a map and put it on the wall and looked at it in my office on a daily basis, thinking I'm going to travel all over America. And I started the planning, which took a lot. Actually took quite a bit of an upsetting of my life, I guess you could say. But the times were right. And so I spent a year planning things out, making all the arrangements, getting things set so I could do that adventure, 6 months, that 6-month drive. If you're not familiar, you are seeing here on the channel, I do have a bunch of videos. And as of the posting of this podcast, I'm still in the middle of reposting those videos. I had posted them all to another channel on YouTube, but took them all down. But anyway, so that was a year of planning, and that year went by fast. And then one day I was in the car and on my way, began my adventure. And those 6 months were very special to me on different levels, but Now those 6 months are 5 years behind me. Yet some of it is so very vivid in my heart. And another interesting thing too is that there are only, how do I say this? There are only snippets that I can recall. I find that interesting, only snippets I can recall. Some of them silly, some of them interesting, some with people, some with places. But I guess that's a useful function, to only be able to recall certain portions of the past. And an interesting thing too is some of it that's reinforced for me because I took a lot of video and I took a lot of pictures and I've done a lot of writing about it. I did a lot of writing about it on my website. And so some of it is strengthened and I think broadened. I remember more about it and it's deeper in my heart because of the pictures and the videos and the video editing and the posting to the website. So I approve of, even though I've talked in the past, I've kind of been skeptical about modern technology and pictures and videos and stuff, but it has enhanced my, I guess you could say, fond memories of that adventure. So let me tell you another story. And I'm not really going to come to any conclusion other than the whole darn thing is a big mystery, And I find myself now getting older. I guess some people would say I'm old, which I might be, but I don't feel it. But let me tell you a story. It was, I think, around 1975. And it was, midnight mass was coming up for Christmas. And we had an unseasonably warm day and night. So instead of driving up to church, up a hill, church isn't far from where my family lived. Instead of driving, we walked, put on our Sunday clothes, and we walked up the hill. And on the way up there, one of my sisters said out loud, or maybe not to me, said, "Wow, we did this last year," which we did. It was unseasonably warm the year before, and we walked up the hill. Rather than driving up the hill like we did every Sunday, we walked. And she said, "Wow, we did this last year, and a year went by so fast." And I stopped and I thought about this, and I thought I was clever just being a teenager. I said, "Yeah, a year going by fast, and next year will be fast too. And before you know it, it'll be 50 years later, and the time goes by so fast." And, well, I remember the conversation very well and the effect it had on all of us, the family walking up the hill. And now, well, it's been 45 years later. And I just recently walked up that hill to that church. So what I can say here is that even though we're living in the never-ending now, the past is behind us and this blur, I can look back and say, gee, I always could have been better, a better person, more caring, more loving, more giving, more helpful, more thoughtful, just better. So I think this is an important aspect when it comes to time and living in the never-ending now, is that you can right now, and I can right now, be better, be a better person, more virtuous. Better is a little bit of a weird term because it can be misinterpreted, or it can be interpreted different ways, but virtuous is more clarity with that. So in the never-ending now that I'm living in, I'm strive to be more virtuous, because There will come a time where it'll be the last time I walk up that hill to church. And there will come a time from today, in the blink of an eye, it'll be 50 years later,